Hello, I hope you are keeping strong. Welcome to another mental health session. In today's presentation, I look at gender-based violence in the wake of COVID-19. I pose this question: are there more emasculated men in the wake of COVID-19? To be emasculated is to feel ineffectual, incapable, powerless, impotent, weak. It is an emotional state that threatens men. It actually works against their ego. In the wake of COVID-19, partners and families are finding themselves behind closed doors for long hours, trapped with no money and no potential to make this money. A perfect condition for emasculated men to become more abusive as stress pushes them to develop the urge to exert dominance. Reports all over the world indicate that because of the global lockdown, there is a horrifying surge in gender-based violence, and this is according to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. What are the causes of gender-based violence? I only want to highlight two of them. One, the issue of power and control, and two, the issue of inequality. Since time immemorial, women have always been the victims of gender-based violence. According to Agnes Odhiambo, a senior researcher with the Women's Rights Division of the Human Rights, gender-based violence is a daily reality for women and girls. According to government data, 45% of women aged 15 to 49 have experienced physical violence. Out of this, 14% have actually been violated sexually. What are some of the exacerbated risks of gender-based violence? There are many risk factors, but I want to highlight a few of them. The first one is that many partners and families are spending more time, actually unplanned time together, added to the many stresses that they already have. The stress of joblessness, the stress of not being able to meet their needs. This actually creates a perfect condition for conflicts. Secondly, women find themselves with less contact, or women have less contact with family and friends. And even if they are going through issues, they are unable to tap protection and support from them. The perpetrators of the violence themselves are aware that women are unable to seek for support and protection, and so they tend to exercise power and control over the vulnerable women. Last but not least, women are mainly informal wage earners. Because of restriction of movement, many of them are not able to make a living and meet their basic needs. This gives them stress, and this stress further may aggravate conflict. What are some of the consequences of gender-based violence? There are several consequences. The most obvious one being sexually transmitted infections are likely to be on the rise. There could also be gynecological dysfunctions. Added to this, there could be chronic pain. There could also be post-trauma stress disorders, and some women may find themselves with unplanned pregnancies. What are some of the measures that have been put in place to check gender-based violence? What are some of the measures that can be put in place, not just have been put in place, but can be put in place to check on gender-based violence? The first, most basic, is that we need to check on our family and friends. Secondly, countries should make sure that they have prioritized properly measures to deal with gender-based violence. Additionally, human and material resources should be directed to deal with gender-based violence. There should be awareness raising and investigations should be done, and those who are found to be culpable brought to action or brought to account. How widespread is gender-based violence? World Health Organization indicates that gender-based violence is usually on the increase during emergencies, including epidemics. And the main people who are at risk are the disabled women, the old women, the refugees, and the displaced populations. In China, reports indicate that the numbers have actually tripled. In February 2020, if you compare the number of reported cases of gender-based violence and those of February 2019, it can be seen that the numbers tripled. In Kenya, according to Wangeshi Wachira, the director of Kenyan Feminists for Rights Education, she says that on a normal day, they receive 3 to 7 cases of gender-based violence. But ever since COVID-19 struck, they have been receiving between 10 to 12 on a daily basis. You can see that this is actually an increase. How are countries dealing with COVID-19? France, for example, has a program where victims are housed in hotels, and they also have pop-up counseling centers in grocery stores. For Spain, there are helplines and there are also open centers. And apart from that, the victims and their children are housed in hotels. In South Africa, there are open courts. The courts have remained open to deal with GBV, and apart from that, there are text lines and chats that are there for the victims of GBV. In Kenya, we have supplies that are used in management of GBV victims, and also the PPEs have been increased in almost all humanitarian hubs within the country. There is also GBV hotlines, we have GBV guidelines, and we also have public awareness on GBV. And apart from that, men as male champions have been identified, and they are being used to discourage the vice. I hope that with this knowledge, you will become a champion to keep emasculated men in check. Gender-based violence is real, and it is you and I who can make a difference by rising to the occasion and making sure that in your own way, you put to check gender-based violence. Thank you, and God bless.